Okay, so the moment we've all been waiting for is finally here. The review embargo for Daredevil Born Again Season 2 has officially lifted, and wow, the first reactions are flooding in. And let's just say, the consensus isn't just that it's good. Critics are calling this thing a genuine landmark for Marvel. So today we're going to break down exactly what they're saying and, more importantly, why it really matters.
I mean, just let that quote sink in for a second. That's not just a good review, that is a massive, massive statement. We're talking about the entire history of Marvel television. When that embargo broke, it wasn't just a trickle of positive reviews. It was an absolute tidal wave of praise. Seriously, it felt like critics were competing to see who could come up with the most glowing description.
And let's be clear, this wasn't just, a small step up from the first season. The overwhelming feeling is that Season 2 is a whole other level. It's like the man without fear has finally, and I mean definitively, hit his stride within the MCU.
And that kind of praise wasn't just a one-off. Nope, you see language just like this in review after review, all of them building this idea that this season isn't just great Daredevil, it's being called the absolute peak of what Marvel has ever done on television.
So what is it exactly that has everyone so excited? Well, it's not just one thing. The praise is incredibly broad. Critics are consistently shouting out the brutal, incredible action choreography, the fascinating new storylines, the visuals, and, of course, the huge tie-ins to the bigger MCU. It really sounds like this show is just firing on all cylinders.
But a great show is about more than just a cool plot and some awesome fights, right? You need incredible characters. And that's where the praise gets even more specific, with critics pointing to some truly standout performances that are, in their words, absolutely stealing the show.
Look, of course Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are getting rave reviews. I mean, come on, they're amazing as Daredevil and Kingpin. That's practically a given. But what's really catching my eye is who else the critics are singling out for stealing the entire spotlight.
For instance, a whole bunch of outlets are pointing directly at Deborah Ann Woll's return as Karen Page. The vibe seems to be that this isn't just a nice little cameo, it's her absolute best work in the role to date. Some are even calling her performance a high point for the entire series.
And this is where it gets really fun. There's an actual debate brewing about who the real scene stealer is. While half the critics are Team Karen Page, the other half are adamant that Wilson Bethel's Bullseye is the most captivating character of the season. You know you've got something special when people are arguing over which amazing performance was the best.
And it's not just the familiar faces getting all the love. Even newcomer Matthew Lillard is getting huge props for his role as this mysterious Mr. Charles, some kind of CIA-type character who's apparently pulling a lot of strings from the shadows. Now, beyond the cast, let's talk about the big question on every fan's mind, especially if you love the original Netflix show, the tone. Were they going to pull their punches? Well, according to the critics, the answer is a resounding heck no. This season isn't just a return to form, it's a full-on escalation.
Yeah, the general consensus is that this new season doesn't just match the dark, gritty, violent tone of the Netflix show, it actually surpasses it. In almost every single review, you see phrases like more brutal, more bloody, and bone-crunching. It sounds like Marvel completely embraced the grit that fans have been hoping for. But here's the key thing critics are pointing out. This isn't just violence for violence's sake. It's all tied into this really smart, sophisticated, and kind of disturbingly timely plot about political corruption. That's what gives that bone-crunching action so much weight. The themes are heavy, and the stakes feel incredibly real.
And the impact of this season? Oh, it goes way beyond just Daredevil's story. If you believe the early reviews, Born Again is about to have massive implications for the entire future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're talking ripple effects that are going to be felt for years to come.
As one critic put it, this season is a huge setup piece. It's not just focused on its own narrative, it is actively laying the foundation for the entire future of Marvel's street-level corner of the universe. It's planting seeds that are almost guaranteed to sprout up in other shows and movies down the line.
So what does that setup actually look like? Well, for starters, we're hearing Kristen Ritter's Jessica Jones is back in a big way. The show is also apparently laying some serious groundwork for the Punisher's return. But maybe the most interesting clue is the timing. This season is dropping right before the next Spider-Man film, which suggests the events here could bleed directly into Peter Parker's next big adventure.
Okay, so with all of this unbelievably positive feedback, you have to ask, right? Is it all just a little too good to be true? Is there another side to this story? I mean, was there anything the critics didn't like? And honestly, the answer seems to be no. Not really. We searched through that first wave of reviews, and the only piece of negative feedback we could find, and I mean the only piece, was one critic who said the season starts slow. That's it. That's the only bad word out there so far.
And that near-perfect score forces us to ask a much bigger question. Has Marvel actually managed to create a perfect season of television here? Or is this just a case of brilliant marketing, of them handpicking the first wave of critics to build an unstoppable hype train before anyone else gets a chance to see it?
Ultimately, the critics have spoken loud and clear. But, the final verdict always comes from us, the audience. I guess we'll all get to be the judge when Daredevil Born Again Season 2 finally premieres.